Now, you may be wondering, why am I doing baseplate again? What's the point of all this? It all started when the rebalance update changed how enemies actually freeze, which you should know how it works with like the thaw timer and whatnot. But with a new rework comes some issues, I guess, or abusable parts to it. When you try to freeze an enemy, it's gonna gradually slow down to negative 100% speed, and when it hits that point, that's like the freezing point basically. But instead of actually like triggering that freezing point, you can just keep it right under at 90% speed the entire time. And it's gonna be stalled for like the entire 5 hours, whatever the hell the boss fight is. Along with some other changes in the rebalance update, like Juggernaut being buffed and John Axe being buffed, it made it a lot easier to do some of the boss waves without expensive towers like GML, you know, and helicopter. You know. But anyways, let's get into the match. I don't think this loadout needs that much explanation. I think you're gonna see what most of this stuff does, because it's pretty obvious. But I really want to talk about this early game because I think it perfectly uses like the only thing that baseplate is actually good for. Maybe you remember this all the way back then in old expert when people would use icebreaker or slammer or even just shotgunner still. Like, there was a reason for that, and it's because baseplate is just designed so well for that stuff. So you can see me just using only 2 shotgunners here to defend for the first 4 waves, and you can already see how many farms they got. Like, it's just crazy. On wave 3, I set my shotgunners to last when I only see 3 enemies left. And this targeting just lets me leak an extra enemy, which gives me more time on my farm drop, and more time on the farm drop means I can afford an extra upgrade. And yes, the extra upgrade means something later on, don't worry. Wave 4 is where I need to get extra defense, so I just get 2 01 shotgunners at the top. And with this defense right now, it could last me until about wave 6, but even then, wave 6 I don't need to buy much. So it's just a matter of farming and farming and farming, because my wave 9 and 10 defense is going to be really expensive. Even though I freeze the heavy town here, it just unfreezes instantly, so that's why I got the bottom path shotgunner so I can DPS it down as much as possible. And this is also another reason why the farm buff is just so good. For the next like 4 waves or so, I'm just gonna keep spamming bottom path shotgunners because this is such good early game and expert for some reason. It has armor pen, it has air detection, it has pierce. It has pretty decent, for this map, pretty decent range. And low-key got everything. And the most important part too, is that it has the expert dynamic pricing. So that means everything is just cheaper by like a shit ton for no reason at all. It's a perfect deal. As good as bottom path shotgunner is in this very specific case, if I just kept spamming that, I would die pretty early to stealth enemies. So I gotta pivot eventually. as we approach the first major boss wave, I want you to think about this for a second, right? What do you think would be harder? Killing Phobius with a bunch of Juggernauts or killing VX Drone with a bunch of Shotgunners? And the answer to that question is actually none of them. It's just John Axe spam. Honestly, all you need to know is that the base HP does matter. I'm using it to tank bosses later on, and you know, you'll see. But yeah, you should know what I'm doing as long as you just pay attention. Before I continue to the boss fight, I just want to say that I do rewind once because I'm a chud. But yeah, if you want to see that part of the boss fight that I cut out, then you can check the raw footage in the description. But anyways, just enjoy.
No, you got this.
He's going. He's done. He got it.
Let's go! Oh my god!
We started attack, bro.
I can't. Bro, I'm actually gonna die. Bro. I can't. Dude.
Okay, so if I didn't type the X message, we could have.
Yo, give me. Yo, yeah, yeah.
Oh! What's your right? Yeah. No. No.
Why did she just look right at him?